I was already standing when it happened. The room smelled like burned coffee and lemon cleaner. Someone had left the television on mute, a laughing audience frozen mid-applause. My sister's voice carried from the kitchen, sharp and careless. My mother hummed, off-key, the way she did when she didn't want to hear anything else. Then my son tugged my sleeve. He didn't cry loudly. He never does. His face was stiff like he was holding something heavy behind his teeth. His small hand shook in mine. When he spoke, the words came slow, trapped, each one fighting its way out. They were all laughing at me. I didn't ask who. I didn't kneel down. I didn't soothe. I didn't say it would be okay. I took his hand and walked into the living room. And when I spoke, the air changed. My sister's face drained of color. My mother stopped humming, and for the first time in years, everyone listened. I've always been the quiet one in this family. The reliable one. The one who shows up early, cleans up afterward, and never asks for anything in return. I learned young that silence keeps the peace. That obedience earns scraps of affection. That love in this house is conditional and easily revoked. My son doesn't know that yet. I tried to shield him from it. Tried to believe that blood would soften people. That 5 years old was too young for cruelty to find him. I was wrong. My sister sat on the couch, legs tucked beneath her, phone in hand. She didn't look guilty. She looked amused. My mother stood by the window, arms crossed, eyes fixed somewhere outside, as if distance could absolve her. I felt my son's grip tighten. They said it was just a Jay joke, he whispered. I squeezed his hand once. Steady, controlled, then I said it. I want you both to explain why it's funny when a child struggles to speak, but unforgivable when an adult pretends not to remember. Silence fell like a dropped plate. My sister blinked. Once, twice, my mother turned slowly. That was the moment I knew they understood exactly what I meant. The signs had been there longer than I wanted to admit. The way my sister corrected my son's words with exaggerated patience, her lips twitching at the corners. The way she repeated his sentences back to him in a sing-song tone, louder than necessary. The way my mother dismissed it all as teaching him resilience. She'd said once, sipping her tea. The world won't be kind. As if that excused her cruelty. I noticed how my son grew quieter after family visits. How he practiced words alone in his room, staring at himself in the mirror, jaw clenched. How he asked me once if his mouth was broken. I should have confronted them then. Instead, I watched. I listened. I waited, because I know my family. I know how they deny. How they rewrite history. How they turn accusations into proof of your instability. So I collected truth quietly. The breaking point didn't come with shouting. It came with laughter. I stood in the hallway earlier that evening unseen, as my sister mimicked my son's stutter for my mother. Each repeated syllable was exaggerated. Each pause followed by giggles. He gets it from you, my sister said. Always slow, always dramatic. My mother laughed softly. Not in protest. In agreement. Something inside me went still. Not rage, not yet, clarity. I pulled my phone from my pocket and pressed record. I didn't interrupt. I didn't defend. I let them talk. They always do when they think no one important is listening. Back in the living room, my sister laughed nervously. What are you talking about? I looked at her. Really looked. The woman who borrowed money she never repaid. Who let my son call her his favorite aunt while she sharpened jokes at his expense. You've always been forgetful. I said calmly. Especially about the things you say when you think they don't matter. My mother stepped forward. This is unnecessary. You're overreacting. I met her eyes. Years ago. That would have been enough to make me shrink. Not tonight. I'm reacting appropriately. I said. You're just uncomfortable because I'm not doing it quietly. My sister stood up. You're accusing us over nothing. Kids exaggerate. I looked down at my son. Did they exaggerate? I asked. He shook his head. Once. Firm. That was all I needed. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I pressed play. My sister's voice filled the room, mocking and clear. My mother's laugh followed. Soft, indulgent, unmistakable. The sound was worse than the act. It stripped away excuses. Tone intent. My mother's face collapsed inward. My sister's mouth opened, then closed, like a door slamming too late. That's out of context. My sister said weakly. There is no context. I replied, where cruelty sounds like that. The room felt smaller. Heavier. I watched them scramble. Denial turning to anger, anger turning to accusation. You always hold grudges, my mother snapped. You've never let anything go. She was right, I don't. I didn't stop there. I had spent weeks preparing after that night in the hallway. Quietly forwarding recordings. Consulting a speech therapist. Speaking to a family counselor, not for reconciliation, but documentation. I knew how this would go if left unchecked. How they would frame it as sensitivity. How they would keep access to my son and teach him, slowly, that he deserved ridicule. I removed that option. By morning, boundaries were drawn in ink, not pencil, no unsupervised visits. No contact without accountability, and copies of everything sent to the people who mattered. The ones whose opinions my mother feared. The ones my sister relied on for reputation. They didn't apologize, they pleaded. That was worse. The fallout was quiet, surgical, invitations stopped coming, stories changed. My sister posted vague quotes about betrayal and being misunderstood. My mother left voicemails filled with wounded confusion. I didn't respond. I focused on my son. On his therapy sessions. On the way his shoulders relaxed when no one rushed him. On how his words grew stronger when no one mocked the pauses between them. One night, he looked up at me and said, slowly but clearly, didn't let them. No, I said, I didn't. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's the absence of people who thought they were untouchable. My family still doesn't understand what they lost. They think I overreacted. That time will soften me. They're wrong. I didn't do this out of anger. I did it out of precision. Because silence taught me survival, but my son deserves more than survival. He deserves dignity. And I finally learned how to take it back.